Beekeepers, questions to ask yourself. Why did my bees die? And can I afford to keep doing this? I've been beekeeping for 12 years, and if you've been following me, I was able to grow. I had some ups and downs, but I was able to continue growing. I got close to 200 colonies, 200 colonies 2 years ago. But then for some reason I couldn't keep my colonies alive through winter. I knew they were small colonies. I brought them in to keep them warm, but no matter what it did, I couldn't stop my bees from dying. So I ended up with a bunch of hive bodies. And this summer, 2025, was the worst summer I've ever had. I created twice as many colonies as I had going into summer, but I lost most of them during the summer. And I think the reason is Michigan Bee Works didn't show up in my area, and I know where some of his bees are, and I went around and I checked, and he didn't have bees in all his locations. So the die-off last winter affected him, and that in turn affected me because I didn't have many drones to mate with. And the other thing is Domino cane sugar. 5 years ago, I could get a 10-pound bag for $4.98. So it was no big deal to create a bunch of small colonies during the summer and feed them syrup in the fall to get them through winter. Now, a bag of Domino cane sugar, 10-pound bag, $11.52. It's not really cost effective when you create a bunch of colonies, you feed them through winter, and they end up dying. I've spent several $100s a couple years ago. The last 2 years that I had a lot of bees, I spent almost $1,000 each fall on Domino cane sugar feeding them. And 2 winters ago, to have them die off like that really hurt financially. And we are in a recession. It's been like this for a few years now, and it's affected my electrical business. People call me and want me to do things. When I tell them how much, I never hear back. Or they say they're going to do it, but then they never call me to do it. So well, anyway, because I was growing so quickly with my bees, and I was using this 10 by 20 storage shed for everything to store all my hives. Every time I needed to get something, if it was behind a bunch of stuff, I would have to move everything out of the shed just to get what I wanted, and it consumed a lot of my time. And when I had 200 colonies that fall, man, things got really out of control. I couldn't keep up with everything. I did manage to get rid of the varroa mites that fall because I bought one of those ProVap 110s, but it was too late. I think once your bees get varroa mites and it spreads the virus to the bees, even after you get rid of the varroa mites, you're going to lose your bees. That may have been the reason why I lost most of my colonies, or all of them, almost all of them. I came out of 2024 May with 5 colonies. I had in June of 2024, I had 5 colonies, and only one of those colonies made a new queen. I didn't do any splits, so this year most of my queens were older. I had three queens at the end of May 2025, and I did splits, and I ended up with 11 colonies around beginning of August. But because I still found varroa mites in my colonies in the spring before I did splits, after I did oxalic acid, I did it before the queens really started laying, and I was still finding varroa mites on the bees. So I did a really heavy treatment end of August, September with oxalic acid, a lot more than I normally did. So I don't know if that's what killed my bees off, or because I'd find colonies with no queen, and there'd be frames full of eggs, and the bees, most of the bees were gone. So I don't know what the hell happened. But anyway, I keep this on concrete here underneath the roof, so if I need to do something. I've got one colony down in my basement because it got really small and I couldn't really get into it. It wasn't warm enough. It's supposed to be 60 here in a few days. But see all the dead bees in the concrete? You know, if you could do this, take notes, sweep up the dead bees, and then when the next time you see a lot of dead bees, or just go out every day and see how many bees you're getting on the ground. It's too early. It's mid-November. It's too early for my bees to be dying like this. I don't know what's going on. I got sugar here too. I got sugar in 2 locations. Well, you can't really see it, but I got my sugar chunks, sticks, or whatever you want to call it down here. So this is the thing. If I don't have any bees come May of next year, then I guess I'm all done. If I still have bees and I can't afford syrup, and I can't count on Michigan Bee Works being in my area because it doesn't show up until mid-June. If I do my splits at the end of May, thinking his bees are going to be here mid-June, and they're not, and my queens don't get mated, a queen can lay really good for the first 30 days, and then she'll pitter out, and that's it. You know, I think that's kind of what happened, because I discontinued my nukes 4th of July holiday, and I had ended up with 11 queens. 3 of them were older queens, but a month later, I had like 3 gone, and I just lost a few more here in October, a month ago. So let me pause. You know, for a few years, I was like the hardest working beekeeper during the middle of winter here in Michigan. I was carrying hives in beginning of winter when it got really cold, downsizing them inside, doing my inspections indoors. 2 years ago, I had, December 1st, 2023, I had 150 colonies. And they only have 9 the following May. Kind of puts a damper on your goals. But this colony here, I don't know why. I think maybe if they don't have a queen, when I discontinued some colonies, I shook the bees out in front of all the colonies that had queens, and the ones that didn't have the queens, I shook them out, brushed off the frames, and there was 4 hives, 4 colonies right there, and they should have all gone in to equal amount, each one of them. But then I noticed a week or so later that this one right here was really small. I'm not going to open it up. Well, maybe I will. But it's really small. We had some nights in the teens. They wouldn't have made it out there. What I want to do is find out if they have a queen. If they don't have a queen, then I want to put these bees in another colony. If they have a queen, I got to figure out, well, the other colony is large enough to take bees away from them and put this queen in a cage and put the bees in from 3 different colonies in here and close it up and leave it for a few months just to see what happens. But anyways, you know, I went to all the trouble to get all this storage room. This is the basement, and then I got up there storage for all this. See, these are my inserts for my deep, so I can turn a deep into a mating nuke, 5-frame nuke. You know, I could do a couple hundred mating nukes at one time, but I don't have the bees anymore. So I'll take you upstairs, try to get this insulated. This is the room that I want to store. I want to store frames down here. These right here got honey. These right here were from the colonies. I didn't have queens, so I saved the honey frames. I'm going to do a little more work this winter on this and try again. What I got to do is when I bring stuff down here, I have to inspect it and make sure there's no moths on it when I bring it in here. And hopefully, my goal is to have this room moth-proof so that I don't have to worry about moths getting in my frames and stuff. It doesn't matter how tight you seal up hive bodies and stuff. They always find little gaps here and there they can get in. Let me pause again. This is all the stuff that a year ago I had stuff wrapped in plastic and the moths got into it. Didn't know about it in time. And then I took it out and set it in my driveway. But the damage had already been done. They get in there and they pretty much destroy the wax. It's not worth the time to I'll show you here. It's not worth the time for the cost of electricity. This thing here I've got. I did this, I got this so it melts the wax, and I spent half a day in that nasty water with that going. But the cost of the electricity and beeswax is only $3.50 a pound. If it costs more for you to melt the wax down and for your time, and then for me to take this beeswax down to the Dot, Albion, Michigan, I'm going to spend probably $40-50 on gas. So it's not really cost effective. So I think next summer I'm going to try doing a 4-foot by 8-foot solar melter. I'm going to buy some sheets of stainless steel and put them on a sheet of OSB and build the walls and get a 4x8 sheet of plexiglass and try that. Last summer I tried black rib steel, put some frames on that, didn't get hot enough. So let me show you. Here's the upstairs storage. So that's why it's really disappointing. This right here would be my loading area. Back the truck up, take the hives off, set them in here. It's going to be the woodworking shop. I could store everything in that shed I have out there right now would fit easily in this room and the room down below. So I have the facilities now. I just don't have the bees. And the question is, well, do I said I wasn't going to buy any bees. If I still have colonies left over next spring, do I just go ahead, buy queens, insert them into my splits in May? Forget about doing summer mating nukes because it would cost a lot of money to feed them. And if you lose those colonies the following winter, it's not really worth it. So, when you only have 3 colonies and you're doing mating nukes, you don't really have enough drone selection to get good quality queens, and your queens aren't going to get mated very well. So that's where I'm at right now. Why did my bees die 2 winters ago? I don't know. And then why did everybody else's bees die the following winter? Was it the same thing? I don't think they even know. There's a lot of talk, but who knows what's actually going on. So that's beekeeping for you. Can you afford the cost of everything now is just getting ridiculous. I don't know if I can afford it, but I'm still young enough. I want to do this. I enjoy this, and I could still physically do it. And I have all these hive bodies. It would take me a long time to sell them. I would never be able to sell all of them to one person, I don't think. I'd have to sell them individually to people, and it would be big hassle. So, all right. Thank you.